Hi YouTubers, and thanks for joining me. My name's Roxanne from Rox's Cards and Crafts, admin of the Legacy CRICUT Expression. I'll leave a link below, as well as the newer CRICUT group, CRICUT Connect. Once again, I will leave a link to both my groups below. In this opening page for Design Space, you will see that I want to teach you how to do your own grid. So this grid, what this is for is placement. See how I've placed this? So this is a 1 inch square, so that fits in 1 inch. So this is made up of 100 1 inch squares, so 10 rows of 10 1 inch squares. Over here, this is an example of a page I made using these squares, and they're solely for the purpose of designing different shapes but having a 1/8 of a gap in between them. So hence the name Mosaic. So it's a bit like Mosaic scrapbooking. With Design Space, it's very easy to make your own grid so that you can draw it onto a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. So we put our 12 by 12 piece of cardstock onto our mat, and then we get ready to make it, and it will, I'll show you how to make sure that it actually goes symmetrically in dead center of the page. I will also, after I do this, if you like to subscribe to me and click that bell, I will also be doing this pretty much same tutorial on how to do this. I'm not doing this one, I'm doing the grid only, but I'll be doing that in Shortcuts a Lot 6. So if you have Shortcuts a Lot 6, you can make it in there and you can export it into Design Space. If you have Shortcuts a Lot 6 and you have a legacy CRICUT machine such as the Expression 1, you can also cut or draw this grid by replacing your blade with a pen. Now the pen I suggest you use is a very, very fine nib, about a 0.04 millimeter. So let's proceed to the next step. Now there's one important thing to remember while doing something like this in Design Space or any designing software, that this particular design is based on a square, and let's put another square. So it's based on positioning this with a 1/8 gap in between. And how are you going to do that in Design Space? It's easy to do with in Shortcuts a Lot 6, but not so much. It's easy in Design Space, but not as easy as Shortcuts a Lot. What you need to do in Design Space is use a bit of maths. Now, when we're using maths, I will be using inches, I'm sorry for those that use centimeters, but what you could do at the end is change your format here by going into your profile, going into settings, canvas, and then go change it to imperial, and then follow my directions, and then change it to metric. That should work. I haven't tried it, but hopefully it should work. If not, then you'll have to do your own conversions. Okay, so I'll get back to what I was trying to say. We're in a digital program. It won't come up here as 1/8 with a stroke in the middle like a fraction. We can't use fractions. But what I've done is I've done this table You will find it in the file section of either of my two groups that I mentioned. But what we're doing is that 1/8 is 0.125. Actually, I'll bring it back when we want to use it. So I've gone ahead and I've highlighted the most important ones on this sheet. We're only going up to 7/8. We also want to get used to using the position. So your X is down the side. So if you see, that should be on 0 at X. And then Y is the one up the top. So we're going to start at X and Y both at 0. I'm going to get rid of that. Resize this to 1 inch and duplicate. With the duplication, it needs to be 1/8 of an inch away from the first one. So you're going to go for the position 1 inch plus 0.25. In your X, in your Y, it needs to be 0, and your X needs to be 1.125. Highlight these two. Duplicate. Position your Y at, so it finished at, so we've got 2 inches plus 0.125 plus another 0.125 is 2.25. So your X will be 2.25 and your Y will be 0. Highlight those four. We've got to position those. So we've got 4 and 1, 2, 3/8, so we need 4.5. So if you highlight those, duplicate, X is going to be 4.5 and Y is going to be 0. And then the last two, duplicate, so they finished at 8 and 7/8, so this is going to be 9. So Y is at 0, X is at 9. Now you have 10 perfect 1 inch squares with a 1/8 with a 1/8 of an inch gap in between. Select all, and I want to give you a look at this. You need them to measure 11.125. So that's actually 11 1/8 of an inch, and the height has to be 1 inch. So we're going to put those back at 0 and 0 and group. Duplicate another 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Click off the mat, highlight them and align to the left, and then position at 0 at the X position. So your X axis is on the side, the Y is up the top. So you're going to reverse it this time. All you have to do now that they're all at the X axis, as I really can't say that word, the X axis is 0. Okay, so all we need to do is concentrate on the Y. So we select our second row, and our second row needs to be 1/8 of an inch away from this one. So it's 1 inch in height plus another 1/8, which is 0.125. So we go 1 inch plus 125 is 1.125. It's quite easy when you get used to it. 1.125. All you're doing is adding, so you count 2 inches, 1, 2, and you count 2/8. So you go 2 and 2/8, or 2.25. So number 3 is going to be 2.25. So number 4, you've got 1, 2, 3, and 3/8. So your 3/8 is 3.75. So you go 3.375 because you're just adding that on. Row 5 is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 inches and 1, 2, 3, 4/8, which is 4.5. So you go 4.5 for row 5. And I hope you get the gist of that. So let's go number 6. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So put in 5. Point and count your 1/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5/8 is 0.625. So 5.625. The next one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6/8 is 0.75. So 6.75. So the next one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Point, probably 7/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7/8. 7/8 is 0.875. So 7.875. The next row will be 8. And you guessed it. So 8/8 is another inch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus another 8 is 9. And then 9 plus another inch, but also another gap, is 10.125. The next very important step is checking that it is in width 11.125 by height 11.125. Now let me show you if it's not. I'm going to go off and randomly make one not right. So I'm going to select them all again. And I moved one just to show you this. If you've done all your 100 squares and you go to the size and the width or the height is not 11.125, you need to individually check these. And the way to check these is that all these rows should be grouped, because that's how I duplicated them. And you go, I would use your layering panel over here. So layer 1 is width 11.125, correct. Height is 1. Now, your position is Y is not at 0. It needs to be at 0, so I'm going to make that 0. Group 2. So please check everything. That is not right. 1.126. It should be 1.125. It was perfect when it was very perfect. It's not now. 4.5. Yeah. So I'm going to go in and fix all that, but it just shows you that you've got to make sure that your grid is at 11.125 by 1 inch. If it's not, you need to check every row, okay, and fix it up. 5.625. And this is good because this is what makes you more proficient at what you need to do. So don't get annoyed that it gets out. It shouldn't. If you go how I taught you at the beginning, you should be fine. I went and moved it deliberately and mucked it all up, and it just makes for a longer video. So let's get back to where we were, which was here, 11.125 by 11.125. We then we're going to attach those. So they're attached. Then you're turning them into pen. Now this is all well and good, but what's going to happen that if you, now they're all attached, so they're spaced accordingly. They're still at 1.125 by 11.125. So they're perfect. But if you go to make this now, don't save that. It tells you to save everything. What it's going to do is, so the red line is your 12 by 12, is your 11.5 mark, and the white is your 12 mark. So you've just gone and put a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock, and it's going to draw off center. You need to get it so that it draws symmetrically to your 12 by 12 piece of paper. And to do that, nice and easy, what we'll do is, there's two things you can do. You can pick a shape, square, resize at 11.5. Change the color so we can see it, send it to the back, and we're going to align those into the center. With that yellow square highlighted only, so only the highlighting the square, we shall turn that into a score line. Highlight them all again, or just go up to select all and attach. This is the easiest way. So when you go to make it, you will have a score line around. And it could possibly be the first thing that will be asked of you to do is to place a scoring wheel. I do believe that if you have an okay, so I've got an Explore Air 2. It's not a problem. I can just take my scoring tool out and just let the machine go through the motions. The Maker, however, hopefully you just have to put your scoring tool in, and it doesn't say, it registers it. If it doesn't, I would suggest you turn this into another drawer, give it a completely different colour so that it asks you to put a red pen in. And you don't put any pens in and just let it go through the motions, and then it will ask you to put a black pen in. So either all of those, it doesn't really matter what you do. So they're attached. Let's go to make it. And you can see now that is very symmetrical to your 12 by 12 piece of paper. And that's the end. That's all there is to it. It really doesn't take that long at all. So please like, share and subscribe. Make sure you select that little bell button so that when I do come up with something new to follow on with these Mosaic grid paper and to do a design, you'll be the first cab off the rank to watch it. Please share with all the buddies on the scrapbook groups, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.